Good evening. Let's read. I did watch the early Danish evening news. I did write more PDF down, but I start to get tired. I did write all this down. Arab-Israeli conflicts, Israeli-Palestina conflicts, 2020 Israel-Hamas war, and this war is going on now, and stuff, but there's a lot more. But I just have to, I will read this. I have to read about Israel. So, and many more, but this will take many weeks and months to read about this. So let's read one more. Oh, I never get finished. So I have to think how I can do it faster. I need to get a different kind of camcorder. I can read like 10 hours. No, I need to, some days I need to read like 10 or 14 hours. Yes, I have to check my cell phone. Yes.
Theodor Herzl. Extended protected article. Theodor Herzl. Herzl in 1897.
Yes, got to put the speakers up. Always something.
Theodor Herzl. Extended protected article. Theodor Herzl. Herzl in 1897, born 2 May 1860, Pest, Hungary, Austrian Empire, died 3 July 1904, aged 44, Rekenauer der Rax, Austria-Hungary, resting place 1904-1949, Dublin Cemetery, Vienna 1949, present, Mount Herzl, Jerusalem 31°4626 and 35°1050. Other names: Benjamin Zedi of Citizenship, Hungarian Alma University of Vienna, occupations: journalist, playwright, writer, political activist, known for father of modern political Zionism. Theodor Herzl, A. The 2nd of May 1860, the 3rd of July 1904, 3, was an Austro-Hungarian Jewish journalist and political activist who is the father of modern political Zionism. Herzl formed the Zionist organization and promoted Jewish immigration to Palestine in an effort to form a Jewish state. Herzl was born in Pest, Kingdom of Hungary, to a prosperous Neolog Jewish family. After a brief legal career in Vienna, he became the Paris correspondent for the Vienna newspaper Neue Freie Presse. Confronted with anti-Semitism in Vienna, or, according to a now largely dismissive theory, due to his covering of the Dreyfus affair, he reached a conclusion that anti-Jewish sentiment would make Jewish assimilation impossible, and that the only solution for Jews was the establishment of a Jewish state. In 1896, Herzl published the pamphlet Der Judenstate, in which he elaborated his visions of a Jewish homeland. His ideas attracted international attention and rapidly established Herzl as a major figure in the Jewish world. In 1897, Herzl convened the first Zionist Congress in Basel, Switzerland, and was elected president of the Zionist organization. He began a series of diplomatic initiatives to build support for a Jewish state, appealing unsuccessfully to German Emperor Wilhelm II and Ottoman Sultan Abdulhamid II. At the Sixth Zionist Congress in 1903, Herzl presented the Uganda Scheme, endorsed by Colonial Secretary Joseph Chamberlain on behalf of the British government. The proposal, which sought to create a temporary refuge for the Jews in British East Africa following the Kishinev pogrom, was met with strong opposition and ultimately rejected. Herzl died of a heart ailment in 1904 at the age of 44, and was buried in Vienna. In 1949, his remains were brought to Israel and reinterred on Mount Herzl. Although Herzl died before Israel's establishment, he is known in Hebrew as Chaz HaMedina. Lit. Visionary of the State. 4. Herzl is specifically mentioned in the Israeli Declaration of Independence and is officially referred to as the spiritual father of the Jewish state. 5. I.E. The visionary who gave a concrete, practicable platform and framework to political Zionism. However, he was not the spouse. Julie Naskauer, M. 1889, signature. First Zionist theoretician or activist, scholars, many of them religious such as rabbis Yehuda Babas, Zvi Hershkolis Cherem Judah Alkali, promoted a range of proto-Zionist ideas before him. 6. 7. Early life. Simon Herzl's grave. Rivka Herzl's grave. Graves of Herzl's grandparents Simon, 1797-1879, and Rivka, 1798-1888, in Zemun Cemetery, Belgrade. Plaque marking the birthplace of Theodor Herzl, Doheny Street Synagogue, Budapest. Herzl and his family, c. 1866-1873. Herzl as a child with his mother Janet and sister Pauline. Theodor Herzl was born in Doheny Udka, Tabak in German, a street in the Jewish quarter of Pest, now eastern part of Budapest, Kingdom of Hungary, now Hungary, to neolog Jewish family. 3. He was the second child of Jeanette and Jacob Herzl, who were German-speaking, assimilated Jews. Herzl stated he was of both Ashkenazi and Sephardic lineage, predominant through his paternal lineage and to a lesser extent through the maternal line. 8. But there is no evidence for the claim of Sephardic origins. 9. His father's family had migrated from Zemuni, today's Zemun, Serbia. 10. To Bohemia in 1739, where they were required to Germanize their family name Loeb, from Hebrew Lev, heart, to Herz, diminutive of Jer. Herz, little heart. 11. Herz's father Jacob, 1836-1902, was a highly successful businessman. He had a sister, Pauline, who was a year older. She died of typhus on the 7th of February 1878. 12. Theodor lived with his family in a house next to the Doheny Street Synagogue, formerly known as Tabak Synagogue, located in Belvaros, the inner-city of the historical old town of Pest, in the eastern section of Budapest. 13. 14. In his youth, Herzl was aspired to follow the footsteps of Ferdinand de Lesseps, 15, builder of the Suez Canal, but did not succeed in the sciences and instead developed a growing enthusiasm for poetry and humanities. This passion later developed into a successful career in journalism and a less celebrated pursuit of playwriting. 16. According to Amos Elan, 17, as a young man, Herzl was an ardent Germanophile who saw the Germans as the best cultured people in Central Europe and embraced the German ideal of Bildung, whereby reading great works of literature by Goethe and Shakespeare could allow one to appreciate the beautiful things in life and thus become a morally better person. The Bildung theory tended to create beauty with goodness. 18. Herzl believed that through Bildung Hungarian Jews such as himself could shake off their shameful Jewish characteristics caused by long centuries of impoverishment and oppression, and become civilized Central Europeans, a true cult evolved along the German lines. 18. In 1878, after Pauline's death, the Herz family moved to Vienna, Austria-Hungary, and lived in the 9th district, Olsagrund. At the University of Vienna, Herz studied law. As a young law student, Herz became a member of the German nationalist Burschenschaft fraternity, Albia, which had the motto Ehre, Freiheit, Vaterland, Honor, Freedom, Fatherland. 19. He later resigned in protest at the organization's antisemitism. 20. After a brief legal career in the University of Vienna and Salzburg. 21. He devoted himself to journalism and literature, working as a journalist for a Viennese newspaper and a correspondent for Neue Free Press, in Paris, occasionally making special trips to London and Istanbul. He later became literary editor of Neue Free Press, and wrote several comedies and dramas for the Viennese stage. His early work did not focus on Jewish life. It was of the Feuilleton order, descriptive rather than political. 22. Zionist intellectual and activist. Herz, seated in the middle, with members of the Zionist organization in Vienna, 1896 as the Paris correspondent for Neue Free Press. Herz followed Dreyfus affair, a political scandal that divided the Third French Republic from 1894 until its resolution in 1906. It was a notorious anti-Semitic incident in France in which a Jewish French army captain was falsely convicted of spying for Germany. Herz was witness to mass rallies in Paris following the Dreyfus trial. There has been some controversy surrounding the impact that this event had on Herz and his conversion to Zionism. Herz himself stated that the Dreyfus case turned him into a Zionist and that he was particularly affected by chants of death to the Jews, from the crowds. This had been the widely held belief for some time. However, some modern scholars now believe that due to little mention of the Dreyfus affair in Herz's earlier accounts and a seemingly contrary reference he made in them to shouts of death to the traitor, that he may have exaggerated the influence it had on him in order to create further support for his goals. 24. 25. Jacksonberg claims that the Dreyfus influence was a myth that Herz did not feel necessary to deflatten, that he also believed that Dreyfus was guilty. 26. Another modern claim is that, while upset by antisemitism evident in French society, Herz, like most contemporary observers, initially believed Dreyfus was guilty and only claimed to have been inspired by the affair years later when it had become an international cause célèbre. Rather, it was the rise to power of the anti-Semitic demagogue Karl Lueger in Vienna in 1895 that seems to have had a greater effect on Herz, before the pro-Dreyfus campaign had fully emerged. It was at this time that Herz wrote his play The New Ghetto, which shows the ambivalency and lack of real security and equality of emancipated, well-to-do Jews in Vienna. The protagonist is an assimilated Jewish lawyer who tries unsuccessfully to break through the social ghetto enforced on Western Jews. 27. Theodor Herz in Basel, photographed during 5th Zionist Congress in December 1901. By Ephraim Moses Lillian. 23. According to Henry Wickham Steed, Herz was initially fanatically devoted to the propagation of Jewish German liberal assimilationist doctrine. 28. However, Herz came to reject Heid's early ideas regarding Jewish emancipation and assimilation and to believe that the Jews must remove themselves from Europe. 29. Herz grew to believe that antisemitism could not be defeated or cured, only avoided, and that the only way to avoid it was the establishment of a Jewish state. 30. In June 1895, he wrote in his diary, in Paris, "As I have said, I achieved a freer attitude toward antisemitism. Above all, I recognized the emptiness and futility of trying to combat antisemitism." Herz's editors at Neue Free Press refused any publication of his Zionist political activities. Our mental clash gripped Herz. between the craving for literary success and a desire to act as a public figure. 31. Around this time, Herzl started writing pamphlets about a Jewish state. Herzl claimed that these pamphlets resulted in the establishment of the Zionist movement, and they did play a large role in the movement's rise or success. 32. His testimony before the British Royal Commission reflected his fundamental, romantic liberal view on life as the problem of the Jews. Beginning in late 1895, Herzl wrote Der Judenstate, the State of Jews.